the bottom left corner from Team Root Gaming. He used to have many aliases, but now he's settled back to one of the ones that everyone knows him by. It's Major. Juan is one of the best Terrans in North America, and we can't wait to see what he's going to do in the Battle.net World Championships. That's going to happen in just a week, but he's also playing for a spot in NASL for the wildcards against this player in the top right. It's Firezerg, wearing the complexity tag. Firezerg, he actually competed a lot in CSL on top of other tournaments. Very unconventional Zerg style. I just see him do some of the craziest things ever. Just if it fits into Overlord, he'll drop it. That's the kind of style that I feel Firezerg can pull off.
Yeah, I played against Firezerg at MLG Dallas 2010 or 2011. And he's a great player, man. And he does have a very wide range of play styles and tons of flexibility in what he's able to do and what he tries to do. Really eager to see what he does here against Major, who is like the most stylistic Terran that I think you could really identify in the North American scene. This is a guy that likes to play macro, likes to play mech, likes to build Hellions, and that's just what he's going to do. And I would be very surprised to see a whole lot of variation in his play here on Whirlwind against Firezerg. Major's a guy that wants to play his game, and I think we're going to see just that.
Ben, I did find out the square root of 42, by the way. It's 6.4810706.
I knew you could do it, Dan. That's why I asked.
But if you use if you don't have perfect squares and you just take out the radicands and everything, it's 2 root 14.
I don't even know what that means. But
maybe if I speak in terms of literature, you'd be able to understand.
Is it 2 times 2 14 times?
It'd be 2 times the square root of 14.
Oh, I see.
I think that's what, according to my math, but math was never my strong subject, man. I always
weren't you an accounting major?
I played StarCraft instead of. Yes, math was pretty much the foundational subject for my major. Yeah. So I think it's because I'm out of practice. I let Andre always do the math on stream.
Andre is a math wizard, dude.
He is.
It's like we'll be sitting there talking about something, and we'll just throw out something random, like what's the square root of 42, and Andre will not speak until he has the answer.
Yes, he stays quiet, and it doesn't matter how long it takes. The next word he says is
going to
be
the
right
the
answer.
And it's always the right answer, too, which is the really funny thing. Another funny story about Andre is we like to do some stat tracking here at the NASL, and I like to present it on my little segment, the balance sheet. And I was tracking the data as well as I could last season and keeping up with it and doing my little reports. But Andre was not satisfied with the way that I was tracking data, which was basically,
just counting
X's
manually.
and O's and check marks. And Andre developed like an entire Excel database for
very elaborate. It's Cloud Atlas big, man.
It is.
That's how I measure everything, by the way. I don't even measure anything by inches or miles or feet. I measure everything by Cloud Atlas.
Yes. So Andre's Excel sheet is about the size of 4 Cloud Atlases, and much more complex.
Expansive.
Much more complex. The interactions between the cells.
The only math that truly matters, though, in the current present is that it's 2 wins to advance, guys. It's best of 3 between Major and Firezerg. Major doing a cute move that we've been seeing Terrans kind of experiment with, which is block a fast third hatchery if you know your opponent is being greedy, which Firezerg is. 4 queens and no gas, and he's adding more queens. He's blocking the third with a bunker and just a couple marines while getting his own third command center pretty quick.
Yep, and this is going to serve him nicely as he does do kind of what we were talking about, transitioning over into the mech play that he's known for. Hellion count right now is just sort of starting to climb. He's got about not that many.
He's got about 0 for now, but 2 will be popping out. Hellion's a big proponent of Major's harass. A lot of Terran players love utilizing Hellions in combination with Banshees, but Major doesn't necessarily abide by the rules. He says, as long as there's Hellions out, maybe I can run by, but with that many queens out, especially like Dongre Guesque, where there's 6 queens right now, it's almost impossible for the Hellions to get by. The queens are very big and they take a lot of space, man.
Yep, this is a playstyle that Moro commented on as soon as the queen buff was announced. He's like, Zergs can now just make 6 queens and you can't harass them. And a lot of people are like, what are you talking about? That's silly. But we can see Firezerg adopted that line of thinking, and he's very safe against the initial Hellion harass. I'm very interested to see what Major's going to do with his STEM research, as he is going not just STEM, but double eBay behind this. So I was way off base, Dan. He's not going to be meching. He is going to be playing Bio on Whirlwind, which does make sense. It's a very long map, and it's hard to cross Whirlwind, with the big meching army, certainly when you have a very fast mobile Zerg player running around behind you, setting up flanks and counterattacks.
No, that's an excellent point, Ben. Mech is awesome. Major loves doing mech. It's not that powerful on Whirlwind. Too many counterattack paths. You have to attack so long. It takes like 30, 40 seconds just to traverse it, let alone set up for a good position. And by then, Zerg can have a great response. Also, what's really interesting is we haven't seen this kind of style from Zerg in quite some time, because Zerg's found that it's a little bit too passive. You let Terran get triple orbital and get an immense amount of economy themselves as well. Terrans learn that they don't necessarily have to commit to any kind of timing, because look at how delayed Firezerg's third is with just simple bunker and Hellion harass. Major's way far ahead economically right now.
Firezerg is already in a terrible position, and I'm going to tell you why. He's ahead in drones, but he's even when you consider saturation. He can't really mine a whole lot more off of 2 bases than Major can off of 3. Major's tech is completely developed. Firezerg, he did go up to a pretty fast layer, but he's not really doing anything with it, and he hasn't been able to do anything with it because he doesn't have those 5th and 6th gases. So Major has positioned himself brilliantly. His timings are all going to line up. Firezerg's actually going to go for some drop play, and that's a great kind of build order counter to a meching style. But that's not what Major's doing here.
Yeah, I mean, he knows Major loves mech, but now he's going to see double engineering bay, and he knows that they're command center, so that explains almost everything. And with Marines, bios, and even some tanks coming into position, I don't know how much damage Firezerg can do, if any at all.
Yeah.
In fact, he's already getting an infestation pit transitioning away from it.
It looks like it's exactly what he's going to do, transition right out, adding in a lot of drones. He's going to allow all these upgrades to finish up. Drop is still a very powerful upgrade. And certainly when a Terran player moves out, you can still drop behind it, and it'll be tough to deal with. But I don't really think it's going to have the same sort of punching power that it did. Well, he actually canceled drop, Dan.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a nice little heads-up play, realizing that's not going to be that useful. Although Overlord's speed has finished, so that does bring a lot of utility. Only starting to make units now as soon as workers are transferring. Major picks a very nice time to move out, but of course he's got a lot more units than is normal because of his fast third orbital. And now he's able to push in here and do lots of damage, and the worst part is that Major is so safe back at home that normally Zerg left to counterattack after this. Major's able to get in some massive damage. He's going to be able to kill a third Ben.
I don't know, Dan. It's going to be a little bit close, but this is a great 1-1 timing. Combat Shield's also finishing up right with this push. He's cleared out this base, and he's not going to commit to killing the hatchery. He's just going to load up and head up into the main.
That's great because, of course, the Roaches and Zerglings are trying to move around, but able to get a better position. And for Zerg, he's ready for Zerg to stop mining from the third, so this is just more damage, and Major's just being very cautious with his units. And during this entire time, Major's also getting +2/+2 at a very reasonable time compared to Zerg as well. I feel like Major's just in such a good spot. Look at the supplies, Ben. This is so backwards in TVZ.
But it's what happens when you stay on 2 base against a triple orbital Terran. Terran macro is very explosive when it's unchecked or when a Zerg's not being just as greedy. And Firezerg wasn't able to be just as greedy because, like you said, Major blocked that third base and made it very difficult to get that third hatchery down. Right now, Major's macro is just fantastic. He's keeping his money low. He's got tons of infrastructure. Firezerg's going to try to get up to that awesome hive-tech army composition that Zergs are loving these days. But I really don't think Major's going to let that happen.
No, I mean, he's going to have 3 infestors and then go straight to hive, and he can't afford upgrades the way he would like them. I don't think he even really can squeeze out +3/+3 and squeeze in an Ultralisk Cavern, let alone make infestors in combination with it. Major's going to do, I guess, the very common thing and just harassing and trying to get a good sense of timings, although he doesn't know about the morphing hive. Major actually hasn't seen any form of tech. He's only seen roaches and Zerglings pop out. But he's already in a very nice, comfortable spot, going to start gathering himself for a 4th expansion.
Medevac drop up at the third base of Firezerg is being quickly dealt with. Nice map awareness there by Firezerg. I love the fact that he's adding in these static defenses as he stabilizes. It makes it very hard to be harassed later on. The real problem for Firezerg, Dan, is this army that Major is fielding. He is almost maxed, and he's going to do it before the Zerg player. When does that ever happen? It's not supposed to.
It's not supposed to, because Firezerg should be on 3, maybe 4 bases by now, but he's still just establishing his 3rd. You can just tell some of these mineral patches are so fresh, only 100 minerals mined from it. Queen's also in the middle of the map, not really spreading creep. Firezerg hasn't been able to pay attention to it because of the drops. He does have a mini squad of infestors moving towards the southern part of the map, but that means he can't use it to defend against the push.
Why is he doing that? He's going to need these infestors to deal with his army. He's still down 50 supply. Major is maxed and pushing on the 3rd base. Firezerg has such a uninspired army. It's just Roach Ling with some infestor support, and that is not going to get it done. Nice fungal goes down, and he will kill a handful of Marines here, but that's not going to be good enough.
Yeah, I mean, he can even out-heal some of these fungals because he does have enough medevacs. The infestor's still in the southern part of the map, not really doing
Completely
much.
forgotten about, just left inactive. Huge mistake by Firezerg. Not only sending those units off to do something somewhere else, but then not actually achieving anything. More infestors are dying by these focusing Marines. Great play here from Major as he just reinforces this push. Staying maxed out. Firezerg has no answer.
Yeah, I mean, he lost 2-3 infestors just to 2-3 Marines, and Major can just push in here very aggressively. He has so many units backing and support, reinforcing as well. Firezerg can't do anything. He's pulling all of his units that are rallying, but this 3rd base will drop. GG's immediately called. Major takes game number 1 in extremely convincing fashion.
Well played by Juan, knocking off game number 1 pretty easily. And for me, from where I sat, that was a great example of the better player winning. Major just sitting back, doing the small things to create subtle little advantages for himself, and then exploiting it fully. He was maxed out while Firezerg was still at 150 supply. That's incredible. Just a phenomenal play out of Major.
Yeah, I think he read the build correctly and was able to react accordingly, and just played standard macro Terran, which every Zerg was fearing, but then they discovered, the quick infestor style, and as a result, ran away with it. Game number 1 was brought to you by Audible. Go to nasl.tv/p/audible for a limited time offer to download a best-selling audio book. When we come back, game number 2 between Major and Firezerg. We'll find out what happens right after this break.